Hi everybody, it's Andy from Snow Camp Europe, back with Paul from the Ski Instructor Academy here in Capron with another podcast in the sequence of getting ready for the ski season.
And we're talking about a subject that I know nothing about.
Well, considering...
So I'll just sit here quietly, Andy. Get back to me on the next one.
Considering you've been on several holidays this summer, I would have thought you were quite well educated in how to book a holiday.
Well, yeah, but that's different. It's a different type of holiday.
I'm sure you've booked a ski holiday in the past. So we were going to talk about booking your ski holiday, and there'll be people out there that have never booked a ski holiday before. There'll be people out there that have booked many ski holidays, and it's kind of just a guide to how to get to day one of your ski holiday, really, and it's almost a methodical progression as I see it.
And does it start with how much money you've got?
Obviously, budget is going to be a factor for sure. So you're going to know what your budget is.
Is it other budget resorts compared with rich resorts? I mean, I suppose if you're going to Aspen or you're going to Courchevel or...
yeah. So a holiday in Bulgaria is going to be a lot cheaper than a holiday in Aspen.
But which one's going to be better?
That depends. You could get to Aspen and there'd be no snow, and Bulgaria's got all the snow that year. But what I always say is the first thing you want to do is, obviously, you know your budget. What country do you want to go to?
Austria.
Okay, perfect. Of course. Why would you want to go anywhere else other than Austria in a European winter? So you've picked your country, you want to go to Austria. Then what resort do you want to go to? Okay, now when you're picking your resort, you're picking it on a couple of different things. One, size of the ski area always seems to be a big thing for people.
Which we've discussed often. It's been as important as people think.
As important, but people will look at what is the size of the ski area, what is the height of the ski area, what other things are on offer in that resort.
Whether you're a beginner or an expert, I suppose.
Exactly. One of Paul's favourites, how far is the transfer? Because he's not a fan of transfers.
Especially if you do it with a tour operator.
And a lot of people want a transfer that's within like an hour and 30 minutes. Other people will be happy to do a 4-hour transfer. And once you've got your resort, so let's say...
Capron,
wow. So you've said, I want to go to Austria. I want a 1.5 hour transfer. And Capron's got high altitude skiing, it's got low altitude skiing, it's got several different mountains, it's got Andy and Paul as your teachers. So you've decided on Capron. Then what level of accommodation do you want? Because not everybody wants the same level of accommodation. So Mr. Simpson's going to want 4 or 5 star, where I'll be happy with a B&B.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul's probably going to want a nice restaurant within the hotel. Although you did say on a previous podcast you like to get out and about.
Well, I do in hotels, like on these sort of holiday destinations, because the hotels know you're trapped with them, because they have these stupid deals where if you book the holiday and you go, I don't want the half board, I just want breakfast. It's like, oh yeah, it's 10 euros difference. Mm-hmm. Like you just look and go, what, 10 euros for a whole family? It's just ridiculous. They trap you into the evening meal because it's not worth them letting you go.
No. So resort, choose your resort on the features you want, and then your accommodation. What level of accommodation do you want? And does that resort actually have that level of accommodation? Because you'll find some resorts only have premium accommodation, and some other resorts, going back to the more budget countries, will have a lower level of accommodation. So you pick your accommodation that is going to be best for you and your needs on that ski holiday. And then obviously there are all your add-ons then. You've got your ski hire that we've spoken about in the previous 2 podcasts. You've got your lift pass. Do you want an area lift pass? Do you want a full area lift pass? Do you want to save money on your lift pass? And a lot of people don't realise if you start skiing after 11:30, you'll save on your lift pass. But then obviously there's pros and cons to that. The snow has been skied. You're not getting perfect groomed snow. If ski school starts at 10, then you're going to need to buy the pass that starts earlier, etc.
And actually, some places have a beginner's lift pass, for example, where if you think you're a beginner and you're not going to be one of these people who's going to get up onto the main mountain, and a lot of people don't realize this, you might do 6 days and you just might not be good enough to progress onto, some of the big runs, then you can get a beginner's lift pass, which is a fraction of the price of a full one.
A lot of the beginner packages, let's say, with major tour operators, the reason that them beginner packages are less expensive them putting all the elements together is their beginner lift pass doesn't actually activate until the second or third day. Because for the first 2 days, you will be in a ski school teaching area where they've got their own rope lift, their own magic carpet.
Yeah.
They may even have their own small drag lift. Therefore you don't need a lift pass for the first 2 or 3 days.
I think I'd like to pick up on that, because 10 years ago, when I used to deal with the tour operators, I would have to deal with multitudes of complaints on the first or second day, because sneaky people had booked it, looking at it going, oh, this is like 150 or 200 euros cheaper per person. Why? Oh, we'll book that package. It says beginner, but whatever. And then get to resort and realize, as skiers who've been here for a week or 2 weeks skiing, they can't get on the mountain. They don't get a lift pass, and then they'll complain. But they've clearly broken the rules. You know, that them packages are meant. So be careful. Don't break the rules. Don't try and cheat the system.
Yeah, and basically a beginner package is for somebody who is a beginner skier. Yeah. You haven't put skis on your feet before. Okay, you may have put them on in a snow dome or on a dry slope, but you have not skied before on snow. And that's where Paul is saying is these people who've done 2 or 3 weeks, I'm still a beginner because I'm not an expert. Well, no, you're not a beginner anymore because you've started.
Not in the eyes of the tour operator.
Yeah. So then other things to consider, and I'm a big advocate of book the earliest flight you can. And the reason being, even though you're going to have to go to bed at like 9 o'clock and get up probably at 1 o'clock in the morning to get to the airport for 4 o'clock for a flight that's at 7 or 8, you're going to get to resort in most cases around lunchtime or early afternoon. This gives you way more time to get to the hire shop, to pick up your lift passes, to orientate yourself where the meeting point is the next day if you're going to ski school, or work out which lift you're going to go up the next day. You might even get a little afternoon nap in to recoup some of that sleep that you've missed before you go and have your evening meal, whether that's in the hotel or out, or you're cooking it yourself, whatever your accommodation option was. And you are going to be so much better prepared having a nice early night that night for the next morning.
I think I could add to that. You're going to be less stressed and chilled, because if you want to get involved in Saturday night at 5 o'clock or the Manelli at Sunday morning at 8:30, then welcome to Hell Week. And it starts your holiday off feeling forced and pressured. And we've talked about this before, about boot fit and how it takes time. But Andy's right. And, you know, I would be booking the holiday on my, that would be one of the big conditions that you've spotted. Flight time. Yep. Can I get into resort at 12, 1 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock? Because I'm ahead of everybody else. I can chill, I can move around, I can find, if it's a new resort, I can get a little bit of an idea. Arriving dark at 5:30, finding the shop's actually already shut by 6:30, and you're having to go at 8:30 on Sunday morning, it'll start your holiday off, in a different way.
I arrived in Sheffield once in the pitch dark, and it was the next morning was just a nightmare. I had no orientation of where we were. It's the first time I've been there, where if you arrive in the day, you can even stand in a village and go, there are the lifts, there are the shops, I've just walked past the bar. It's just so much more easy.
Sometimes Andy says some important things. I've learned something today.
But going back to what you've just said about the stress of the Sunday morning, as ski instructors in the ski school, you can stand there and you see people walking across and you can go, they arrived early. Their boots are done up. They're on their feet. Their coat is zipped up. Their lift pass is in their pocket. Etc. And then you see the people who literally have, they've had a delay. So they should have flown in at 5:30, got to resort in time for dinner. They've had a delay. They didn't get the dinner. They got a cold plate put in the room.
You're selling it, Andy.
They've eaten half of that. They've then gone down that ski air shop, as Paul just said, full stress. And they just get to ski school and
they're hyper.
They're pissed off. So early flight is the way to go. The other thing that just sprung into my head, which is isn't so much about how to book your holiday or what considerations when booking your holiday, but one big consideration for that first night, especially if you're in a chalet. Do not get wasted on the chalet wine on your first night, because your first morning will suffer for it. Yeah. And what we often find is people who do hit the chalet wine on the first night, and it's great because you sit down, you're loading new people, having a chinwag. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from here, I'm from there. And you get, and it's just free flowing. It's free chalet wine. Now, the fact that it's free tells you it's cheap. and it's gonna ruin you the next day. But we quaff it and we quaff it and we quaff it and we quaff it, and the next morning you feel like crap. So don't do it. What we also find, and I think
it's a great holiday. This,
I think you'll agree with this, albeit you haven't really taught tourist groups for quite some time. But what you'll find is, forget the first night chalet wine. People will come skiing on the Sunday, and it'll be the first day. They'll get back into it. They'll have a good day, but they'll be tired. So they probably don't go out that much on the Sunday night. But then on the Monday or the Tuesday, they're getting into that holiday feel, and they go for a few drinks on the Monday. Then they have their dinner. Then Tuesday they have a really good ski day, and the holiday reps go, "It's the pub crawl tonight." Or they just go to Après, and they go to Après hard on that Tuesday night, or they go on that pub crawl with the reps on a Tuesday night, if reps are even in resort this year. And Wednesday, they implode. They just can't ski, and they wonder why they can't ski.
And that's when most accidents happen on a Wednesday.
That or Suicide Friday.
Andy, though, you're drifting off because you were telling us about how to plan my holiday.
It's not.
And all you've told us is it's going to be terrible. It's going to be stress. I'm going to be in a chalet full of weird strangers drinking cheap wine.
It's not like Mr. Simpson never drifts off, is it? Anyway, so yeah, your steps to booking your holiday: pick your country, pick your resort, pick your accommodation, then look at your other bits, your
flights,
lift passes, and prioritize. Go back to the top and prioritize that flight time. Definitely get an early flight. As we know from previous podcasts, Paul doesn't like the shared transfer option. There are lots of transfer options in most resorts now that go from, if you were coming to Capron, you can get a bus for less than €20.
You get a holiday shuttle. If you're sharing it between 4 or 5 people, it would be worth it.
Yeah, holiday shuttle is very inexpensive. And you can go as low or as high as you want. You can have a private taxi.
You can have a helicopter, actually.
You could have a helicopter into
Zelensee. You can fly here.
Yeah, which probably be
from Munich. Some people do it.
Yeah. And then the other considerations are the return journey. Now, I did quite a few where I would take the later flight on return, which meant I could actually ski the Saturday morning. However, what you need to look at is a lot of ski shops with their hire will do 6-7 days is the same price.
Right.
So you can get that Saturday morning in. If you've got your own equipment, obviously it's not a problem. All you've got to do is extend your lift pass. However, where a lot of people fall short is their insurance doesn't cover them for skiing on the Saturday. Now, if you were to have an accident on the Saturday, that means you're not going home on Saturday, which means you need your insurance, not just to cover your accident, but also to get you back into the UK. So,
and the only reason I don't, like, for example, I flew back there from Iceland, and our flight time was 1 o'clock in the morning. So you feel like you're just hanging around all day, and actually into the next day till 1 o'clock in the morning before flying back and arriving with a time difference at 6:45 or something. And obviously you've not slept. But I do like the idea of having the breakfast in the morning in the hotel and not having to leave at like 5
before
o'clock.
Breakfast.
Yeah. In fact, the reason being is I don't have breakfast. I don't eat breakfast normally because I intermittent fast. But when I'm in a hotel, I do have breakfast. So it's like a treat to me.
Because you're on holiday.
Yeah, I'm on holiday. So I have a treat, and I like them 5-star breakfasts, that Andy's on about.
There's and again, that goes back down to the transfer time. Now, if I was in Aruba, and again, I'll say when I went to Aruba, the transfer was 4 hours. There are other transfer options now. We left at like 5 in the morning, so there was no breakfast. I know that from Capron, with some of the crystal early departures in a couple of the hotels, you would leave before breakfast. So try and
my
get your breakfast.
problem with the transfer is more that I suffer badly from travel sickness. And those coaches, I used to find that it wasn't just the fact that I was on the coach and somebody else was driving, but they just seem to think it's, we're in a winter season, let's make it a sauna coach.
Yeah, very hot. Yeah.
And they just switch the temperature up, and everybody's sick on the coach. And I just don't get that. Like, chill it down,
because what you find,
I've got the air conditioning on now, and it's 12 degrees and snowing outside.
It's snowing in Capron, but that's the same with the ski bus in resort. And again, we're going off tangent slightly, but we're still talking about ski holidays. The ski bus in the morning, the driver is sat in a short sleeve shirt. Everybody else is in ski gear, but he's got the heating on.
Yeah.
So
you go in the ski shops.
Yeah.
Like, I still don't get that. In the shop, I know I'm not going to name names, but those shops, are you stupid? People are coming in with their ski jackets on. Yes, I get your staff are there in a t-shirt, but it'd be more sensible to put your staff in some nice winter pulleys and allow the people to shop. Nobody wants to shop. They want to get out the shop as quick as possible. First thing I say when I go up in the rental shop on the Alpen Centre, it's the same thing. I'll go to the team. I'll go, look, I'm waiting outside. I can't do this.
Yeah, it's too warm. Yeah, well, especially once you've got your gear on, because when you get out of a cold gondola, you get your gear on, you start sweating. Once you've started to sweat, it means you're going to get colder outside.
And now I've drifted off.
Yeah.
So basically, Andy's told us all about booking a Scouser's chalet holiday.
How to book your ski holiday. One or two other things. Obviously, when you are picking your resort, family-friendly resorts, beginner-friendly resorts, resorts with off the slope activities.
Good ski school.
Also,
not easy, hard to find.
Good ski school. A lot of people who want to break it up and do it all independently, and you can use the same process to do it all independently. You quite often hear people saying, go to the local tourism office for the accommodation because it's always cheaper. They don't charge commission. That's
bullshit.
Yeah. Just like if a hotel in Capron has its rooms on bookings.com, they will be paying bookings.com a commission. If it is on a tourism verband website, they will be paying the tourism verband commission. So it doesn't make it any cheaper. More often than not, because the tourism band is a business and it has to make money, or the tourism office. So yeah, that is a bit of a myth. And again, depending on what country you're going to go to, yes, you may be able to find it cheaper doing it all independently, booking each element by itself than a package. But in my experience, you can't beat the major tour operators when you break it down for a like for like, with the same kind of transfer, the same accommodation, etc., etc. Shop around for sure. Try and get the best deal you can. But a package, in my opinion, typically works out to be the best way to go. And I'm open to challenges.
There we go. Well, I think we've had enough of that. Let's get back to real conversations about
Paul can
skiing.
do all the talking.
Yes. I'm sick of being quiet.
Bye
Andy?
for now.